Welcome to the Marky Mark Show, the evening show, guys. I'm your host, Mark Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about North Korea. Apparently, the North Koreans have said that China has betrayed North Korea. And that a breakup may be next. North Korea is notorious for its outlandish and optimistic threats against the U.S. but it has now delivered a rare verbal salvo against China, and a country seen as one of its only allies on the planet. Kim Jong-un's regime scolded Beijing, alleging it acted with uncertainty and betrayal in comments about Pyongyang's burgeoning nuclear and ballistic missile program. The news said North Korea might be really annoying for China, but they need them to stay there. The neighbors, one a vast economic juggernaut, the other an improvised isolation Perry, have long been locked in an uneasy balance act. But last week's comments may be an indication that this 6-decade symbolism is a danger of falling apart. As Ji Kwon-gu, dean of the Department of Diplomacy at China's Peking University, put it, China and North Korean relationship is at a crossroad right now. What happened, the question was. North Korea's rare outburst came in May 3rd. Comment piece carried by the state-run Korean Central News Agency, or KCNA. The agency was tightly controlled by the Kim government, accused China of committing a wanton violation of the independent and legitimate rights, dignity, and supreme interest of North Korea. It said its strategy interests have been repeatedly violated due to uncertainty and betrayal on the part of its partner, and warned of grave consequences. This was in response to China's state media floating the idea of further sanctions against North Korea in response to its nuclear ambitions. Now you guys gotta remember one thing. China has been a North Korean ally for so many years. They fought the United States with North Korea. They fought against the United States with North Korea in the Korean War. You guys gotta remember that. So this is a big deal. China's Global Times newspaper suggested that the country could stop selling oil to the North, a drastic measure that could paralyze the country. Although the relationship has fractured at times, the reaction marked a new level of criticism, according to Professor Hazel Smith at London's School of Oriental and African Studies. What is a relatively new is that they are expressing these sentiments in such an ambiguous and explicit and a public manner, Smith said. What's the background? Another question. Since Kim Jong-un came to power in 2011, North Korea has been increasing the frequency of its missile and nuclear tests, a contravention of the United Nations sanctions. President Donald Trump administration has taken a harder line on North Korea, openly voicing the possibility of a major conflict, and other solutions don't work. Not only has North Korea vowed to build a nuclear missile capable of hitting the U.S. mainland, it is also one of the world's worst violators of human rights, which I talk about all the time. I talk about human rights. You know, they violate, they torture, they do everything, and this is where it gets into human rights, you know. It controls almost every aspect of public life, carries out torture and executions every single day, and enslaves upward of 80,000 people in Nazi-style labor camps for crimes as petty as gossiping about the state. We can gossip about our state here, we can gossip about our country, and say, oh, this country sucks and everything. If you get caught saying that, like North Korea, oh, I hate this place, you get locked up in a labor camp or killed. That's kind of harsh, don't you think? The main reason military action has been discounted by previous U.S. administrations, however, is that it risks a retaliatory strike on South Korea, a key U.S. ally, and there's a reason why we have not tried to strike them. One of the reasons, and the other reason is we have where 28,000 American troops are stationed. We can't put those troops in harm just because we want a war or we want to take out the president. Perhaps mindful of this, another route Trump has pursued is pressing the Chinese government to tighten the screw on its neighbor. Why is China still friends with North Korea? Question. The Chinese government is often called North Korea's last friend on earth. In truth, North Korea does have other allies. Other African countries, they have allies. Russia's an ally. Some countries in the EU, European Union, are allies. And its relationship with China is perhaps closer to one of mutual tolerance. Here's a quote. North Korea might be really annoying for China, but they need them to stay there, said Aidan Foster Carter, an honorary senior research fellow at England's Leeds University. The North Korean has acted as a convenient buffer zone for China, keeping American troops stationed in South Korea at arm's length. This made Beijing reluctant to disturb the status quo, mindful of reunification or conflict between the Koreans could result in U.S. forces closer to its border. China needs North Korea, irritating as it is, Foster Carter said. Okay, and this question is, what is in it for North Korea? For the North, the benefits of the relationship are far simpler. It needs China in order to survive. Years of international sanctions mean virtually no other nation can or is willing to trade with it. More than 900% of North Korean trade is with Beijing, accounting for roughly $5.4 billion between the two countries in 2015. As well as income selling crystal meth and exporting slave labor to work in other countries. This Chinese trade helps bankroll North Korea's nuclear program. So they sell crystal meth and export slave labor to support their country. What dumbasses. In addition, all the things that North Korea's elites want, such as sports cars and jet skis, come through China. According to Robert Kelly, an association professor at South Korea's Pusan National University, China has come under suspicion for not enforcing United Nations sanctions, but even these have left some leeway on certain imports and exports. What's rocked the boat? While threatening military action, Trump's team has identified China as the nonviolent key to unblocking the Korean impasse. Accounting for 90% of North Korean trade, China alone has economic leverage over Pyongyang that is unique, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson told the UN Council last month. The White House says because China does so much trade with North Korea, it alone has the ability to stop North without fighting. Trump has hinted he would give China an easier ride on trade if it plays ball. China has taken action following a new raft of UN sanctions in November. It has banned all coal imports. And as the North appears to preparing for a sixth nuclear test, Washington and Beijing are said to be negotiating even stronger responses from the UN Council. Security Council, anyways. Okay, guys. China doesn't necessarily need U.S. incentives. It's also far from happy about the ongoing missile and nuclear tests on its doorstep. The relationship between China and North Korea is a little intense because of developing a nuclear weapon severely damages China's security interests, said Peking University Jaya. Is the relationship under threat? North Korea's touchy relationship with China is driven by its desire to appear like a satellite state, according to Kelly. Okay. How do you keep China from dominating when you are so economically dependent? How far can they push China? He said. That's the trick. North Korea clearly feels able to come out and be as rude as it wants to be, Foster Carter added. But that could be risky if China finally says, that's it. As North Korea has become increasingly isolated, China appears warming to the idea of cooperating with the U.S. The North Koreans saw the president of China go to visit Trump, and the mood music there was at least very convivial, said Smith at the SOAS. In this sense, North Korea's recent response seems desperate. It won't help them, but they have nothing left to do. They have no more options left. Not many, anyways. However, other analysts, such as Wang Xing, professor of international relationships at Jilin University, felt the recent spat would not affect the essence of China and North Korean relations. Although he did predict Chinese-American cooperation would lead to some subtle adjustments, other factors may be the election of new South Korean President Moon Jae-in, who favors closer ties with North Korea. Ultimately, for Kelly, it's now a straight race in terms of which will happen first. China taking action, North Korea developing a weapon capable of hitting the United States of America. If the latter comes first, he said, then it's not inconceivable that Trump could bomb North Korea. There is the North Korean story, guys. As I said, North Korea becomes a threat, more of a threat every day, and needs to be dealt with. We have to do something about it. And President Trump is trying to do something about it. But, as I said before, if we don't tightly wrap up this North Korean threat, it could be the very end of, way of life of democracy, Communism is our threat to democracy. Communism is a threat to this country, and it needs to be dealt with, and it needs to be stopped. North Korea has to be stopped. I do not agree with Trump. I hate the man, but something has to be done with North Korea. Something must be done with North Korea. Because if not, they're going to develop a nuke, and they're going to hit the U.S. because they have the balls to hit the United States. And it's going to kill millions. And I tell you what right now, if I'm ever in a war because of that, I'm going to fucking kill every last North Korean soldier that killed an American citizen. I'll slaughter every last one of those North Korean troops. Because nuclear weapons are not the way to go. Hell, war is not the way to go. But if war is needed, war is what we'll get. I'm a Democrat. I don't believe in war to a point. But if war is needed, we'll do it. Well, guys, that's my rant for the day and your news for the day. There's other news that I would speak on, but I'm not, going to do that. I may do it between songs today, but we will see. Right now, we'll play some more music, and, here you guys go for the music.